fans off the most. So what I really wanted to do is come out here with the Texas, long sleeve on. But then I was like, no, LSU's already beaten Texas this year. So that wouldn't make sense. And then I was like, well, if I go Oklahoma, I can piss off Texas fans. And if I piss off Texas fans, I can piss off A&M fans. It was like this whole transitive property thing that I just kind of got in my head about. So I was like, screw it. I'll just go with Oklahoma for tonight.
So, Matt, how many teams attire do you think that you have, as Ryan says, looking like Lincoln Riley, man?
If I had Lincoln Riley's bank account, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, that's true. If I had his wife, I'd be fine with that too. Anyway. Anyway. How many teams attire do you think that you have in your closet?
So how many Division I teams are there? 356 or something like that in the country? Yeah. I would say, but because here's the thing is like, my kind of restrictions for my collection of college gear is it's gotta be the brand that is the school's brand. It has to be like team issued. So I can't go to Walmart and get like an LSU shirt because obviously Russell Athletic is not the,
sponsor of right.
This is not, 1995 Georgia Tech. Do you remember that?
There's Matt, you do know that the only way that they got rid of Russell, that the only reason because Russell filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah. Right. It was like I thought it was like such a metaphor back in the day with those tearaway jerseys. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I remember those. Do you remember when Calvin Johnson was at Georgia Tech and the Russell jerseys were so bad? You remember when we were growing up, Matt? The jerseys still had the like holes like in the section.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Calvin Johnson had like 4 straight games where his jersey ripped off at the mid-waist?
Oh yeah, and like I don't know if that's how they were intended to be, like breakaway jerseys. You just pull them one time and rip. But props to Russell Athletic because they rode that PR move till the wheels fell off. It's like, oh, we're just ahead of the game. We're making these breakaway jerseys for football players, so it reduces injuries. It's like. Yeah, but it's also really expensive, and it's also really stupid, too.
Right. So how many do you think that you have?
I probably.
Did you say you have over 150?
I was going to say I probably have close to 100, around 100.
Do you have LSU?
Yeah, of course. Come on.
I mean, well, you always rag on me for wearing Columbia shirts.
Yeah, but I don't sleep in it like you do. Oh, yeah, I don't sleep in it like you do.
Neither does Miles Brennan, but you don't see me whining about it. But anyway, by the way, happy anniversary to the most epic quote on WBRZ Sports. Matt, so listen, obviously this weekend we're getting into SEC play. We're going up against the Aggies. Now, the last time you came on this show and you said something negative about the Aggies, this is what you said in that quote. Blake, do you remember that movie called The Dark Knight when he stuck his head out the police car and he was just going crazy? That's what I'm going to do when I go into Texas A&M this weekend. Well, Matt, only thing that would happen is that the Tigers would lose. So I'm going to need you to refrain from making fun of them again. Oh, and by the way, do you remember the bad comments I was getting in my DMs about, pepperoni-sized nipples and stuff like that? That's the video that it came from. So tonight I'm going to ask you to comment a little bit down, sir.
That was so funny to me because after that game, I had media members that are currently in College Station that I knew that
they were quote tweeting it. They were quote tweeting it.
Considered like friends, and like it didn't upset me, but to see just the visceral reaction to that.
Oh man, they were so mad.
Blake, they're the most sensitive fan base in the world. In the world, because it was fun, and they know that the Yale leaders are jokes. Like anyone that dresses like painters and thinks that they're like, masculine and like that's just not. There's nothing masculine. There's nothing cool about that, and they know it. But they defend stuff like that to the death.
Well, it didn't help that you were wearing a TCU hat too.
That's true. That's true. Which but again, it was funny. So talking about baseball this year after Portland, the premier baseball powerhouse in the country, the Portland Pilots. I think that's their mascot. Went in and took 2 out of 3, and would have had a sweep if not for a late inning surge by A&M in Blue Bell.
Not just a surge, Matt. They had a 3-run home run and then a grand slam to walk it off.
Yeah. So like in Blue Bell Park in College Station on the campus of Texas A&M, like they had to fight. Think about this: when you read a headline that says Texas A&M has to fight off sweep from Portland, the season is already going in the pooper. And like I watched this stuff and I was like, that's not great. So after the game, apparently, someone posted on Twitter, Schlossnagel was apparently pissed.
Oh yeah.
It was like, I don't know what's going on here. I got fans yelling at coaches and players, in the dugout. I don't know what kind of place this is, but that's just unacceptable. That's just unprofessional. And I went, Slosh. When you were at TCU, you were playing at A&M, not just every year midweek. You were there for a super regional every other year from 2015 to 2017? Bro, come on. Like, that's what I love. I don't know what kind of place this is. If you need an indoctrination on what A&M is, I will gladly DM you my cell phone number. Gladly DM you, and I will give you an up-to-date report on what that place is like.
So let me just ask you this question. There are over 300 Division I programs in the country. Do you dislike Texas A&M the most?
Probably. But see that's the thing, Blake. It's like I don't dislike it. Like, okay, there's so many different forms of dislike. LSU fans hate Alabama because they're good and because they beat them all the time. Like that's fair. That's fair. Okay. I don't like A&M is because they think that they're so relevant and they take themselves too seriously when in actuality, pretty much in every sport, they're just a run-of-the-mill SEC team. I asked somebody the other day.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, so here's what's the craziest thing to me. Of all the coaches at A&M, of all the coaches, the only coach of the big 3 or big 4, I'll throw in women's basketball because, they're turning a profit, I guess. Buzz Williams is the first one to play for a conference championship.
Sick. Like,
but Matt, I'm serious though. Like that's bad, bud. Like that's bad. That's like saying you hire Brian Kelly, Jay Johnson, and Kim Mulkey, and Matt McMahon's the first one to get to a conference championship final. Because if you remember hiring Jimbo, you hired a national championship winning coach now. I mean, it's not like he was a scrub.
I texted one of my Aggie buddies who's actually the PA guy for A&M Baseball. And I said, hey, because this is like end of this year, end of the football season, and dudes are jumping ship from A&M. I mean, they could not leave College Station quick enough. I said, hey, I got a real question for you, like a serious A&M football question. Just set him up perfectly. He's like, yeah, what's going on? And I go, when A&M sets a record for most guys from a number 1 recruiting class in the portal, do you guys hang a banner inside Kyle Field, or are you going to print commemorative cups? What are you guys going to do for that to commemorate yet another record? I just want to know. Is it a banner or is it cups? Just give me your thoughts.
Matt,
they
changed the door code at A&M to 7472 after they beat LSU. Like, that just goes to show you, like, how little of human beings they are.
Dude, they pumped their chest out so hard after that last game this year. Their 5th win of the year.
Oh, dude, they were super shocked.
Dude.
Now look, I'll give them this. I will give them this. You're gonna absolutely hate me saying this, Matt. They were number one. Speaking of football, very, very, very quickly, they were number one in the country in pass defense efficiency rate, and they return everybody besides Denver Harris. Now, it got better. It got better once Denver Harris left. Okay, I might add. Not only were they the number one pass defense in the country in an efficiency rate, they were double than everybody else. Like, so the next one was Alabama. As an example, they were 72% efficiency rate. I'm just throwing that out there, man. They got athletes. They have athletes.
5 wins.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm just going to tell you this. Mark my words, on March the 16th, they're going to beat somebody they shouldn't. Again. They're going to beat somebody. Now, are they going to go 8-4? Cute. Sounds good. But they got some dudes over there now. All right. Let me ask you this. Let's get into baseball very quickly. All right. What you got?
I didn't know that.
Matt, they got 4 dudes on their defensive line that might be top 25 picks. That scares the bejesus out of me now. Now, Jimbo's out of that equation on that side. But when you have 4 guys that might be top 25 picks, I mean, we see this in sports now. Okay, like Alabama as an example with the running back core that they had under Saban in the mid-2010s. Okay, when you have Derrick Henry, Kamara, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, look at what that looked like. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. When you have multiple first-round picks in one position group, you start getting the lead on some things. Is LSU's offensive line ready? Is anybody's offensive line ready for that? If you got that many dudes in a top 25 pick rate, that's all I'm saying.
How many SEC championships have they won?
None. But I'm not claiming that they're going to win any, though, Matt. I'm not claiming. Does it make you feel better that you're defending LSU more than me?
How many SEC championship games have they played in?
None. But they've also never had 4 possibly top 25 overall picks on the defensive line either.
When was their last national championship?
1908, right?
39. You know what that was, obviously, too? Start of World War II. So, look, I don't care. Like, I don't care. They can have a full an 11 on offense and 11 on defense of Jesus Christ. Like, they could have Jesus Christ on both sides of the ball, and I'd still pick LSU over A&M when it came to that. Are you trying
to tell me that Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball? Now let's go.
That I'm telling you, because if Jesus Christ puts on an A&M jersey, gonna have to look really hard at how I bet that game.
Oh, buddy, Twitter's gonna be pissed now. I asked you not to do it, but you best damn well believe I'm about to clip that one. All right, Matt Trent for WBRZ is our guest. What do you look at in this series, Matt? Is there anything that, in all seriousness, is there anything that you like when you see this? My thing is, Matt, we talk about this every week, and you keep telling me to settle down. Their amount of strikeouts that they have on this team feels alarming. I'm not saying it is alarming. It feels alarming.
You're talking about LSU?
Yeah, LSU at the plate. Am I wrong there for being worried? Because, Matt, again, like when I'm charting the game and I'm like, God dang it, you got 8 strikeouts tonight against a Rudy Poo opponent.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, if you look like the in the top 5, I think it's Brady Neal and Jared Jones, if I'm not mistaken, on the team.
That is correct. That is correct.
You've got like a bunch of freshmen in there, which look at Jared Jones. I mean, he went for a week where he was hitting everything out of the ballpark, and then he went for a week where he looked like Ray Charles at a piñata party. So it's like So, no, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying that's what happens, especially
What's wrong with you?
that's what happens when you've got a freshman that just really, and especially like Jay Johnson said, that's going to happen because when we have a lineup that is more power focused, you're going to get more strikeouts, and when we have a lineup that is more station to station, base hits, plate discipline, you're going to sacrifice power. That's how it is. But I mean, the kid came back and after that quote unquote slump, hit balls off his face in the scoreboard. So I don't with freshmen like that, that bothers me absolutely none. Now, I will say with A&M on the mound, which like you said before I came on here, they are still trying to figure it out a little bit. I think the
Right.
depth kid, who I think is going to go Friday for them,
Right.
he's like a physical dude, can hump it up there. I think he's like 6'4", 225. I mean, he's a big, just country strong.
And Matt, what's so wild about him? Either he is locked in and he is on, or you're going to be able to go out there and absolutely rock him. He's not. There's no in between with him so far this season.
Yeah, and I think I think as and I don't know like how they're going to arrange the the weekend rotation, but I was just looking at it, just perusing before I came on here, and like the guys that have the most starts, it's really in descending order, innings pitched and walks. Like as you go down, the walks go up as the pitched goes down. Me is like that's not great either. So for LSU, it's just going to be doing exactly what they do all the time: is take patient at bats, work the count, get the pitcher deep into its pitch count. But it is like in terms of that lineup, I mean, they got primarily everyone back from that lineup last year that went to Omaha.
Right, and that's the thing with me, Matt, is like they, because if you remember, we thought this time last year, okay, hey man, A&M struggling out the gate. Here comes LSU. We got them in the first weekend. Matt, they took 2 out of 3 in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Now LSU's not the same. Okay, clearly they're not the same from last year to this year. But A&M, their storyline, Matt, has a lot of the same storylines. Okay, that they had a year ago. So I just want to be cautious of that. We have a question inside the chat from Jeff. Jeff wants to ask you: you keep Trey Morgan at first, or are you putting him back in left field? Why would you put him in left field? I don't get that.
Well, I mean, look, here's the thing, and I have been the biggest champion of Trey Morgan needs to stay at first, and Trey Morgan is, like we've talked about 1,000 times.
Yeah, but to get Beloso in, the best pitcher Beloso saw all year, he went 0 for 4 with almost a hat trick and strikeouts, though.
Yeah, but here's the thing is like, I'm okay with it just because of the versatility it gives you. Like if you want to put Train left and Jared Jones at first and DH Beloso, or Beloso at first and DH Jared and leave Trey, like I'm fine with it because there's been nothing so far that has told me that Trey Morgan can't play left. Now, would I prefer him at first?
You mean like running off the wall and almost breaking his arm?
Well, I mean that was
okay.
That was the grace period that we'll give it.
All right, that's fine. I'll give you that one. But he ran into a wall full speed, so don't say that there's nothing to worry about now.
But in fact, I have seen people do that before because that is a weird kind of play, especially in parks. But I think that don't have a warning track, which there are parks out there that do not have a warning track.
Well, it's like Mike I think it was Mike Trout's girlfriend, because the A's stadium is like where they have the rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, apparently what people don't know, like in Angel Stadium, the rocks are at the bottom. Okay. Yeah. And they're borderline on that wall.
Yeah.
So she said when, like, how like when he jumps, he catches it and then braces and then hits the wall. He doesn't hit the wall, come off, catch it. He catches it and hits the wall, right?
One of the best outfielders that I have ever played with was in college, and
Richmond.
This is not a joke. I literally saw him on a ball hit, him turn around, like find the wall as he was going back, find, the ball, turn around and just sprint head first into the wall. Like I I mean, it's just one of those plays where it's so hard, especially if you're going back quick and you don't feel or you hear yourself stepping on the warning track and you think you've got more room than you do, and you just turn around and you just face plant right into the wall. But with Trey Morgan, dude, he's made a ton of diving catch. He's made a ton of diving catches laterally and coming in too, which I think is interesting because a lot of guys like coming in, that's that weird one where you're like, I don't want to dive and it get past me, but I also like you've kind of in that in between whether I lay out or just let it hit in front of me. He's made a lot of diving catches all different types of ways and has played really, really. He's made a bunch of catches in foul territory. He's made a bunch of catches in foul territory near the wall, which is another hard. Like outfield in that area like that, that's tough, man.
And I'm not discrediting that. I'm not discrediting him there at all. I'm just saying it's not Trey Morgan that I'm necessarily worried about. Okay. Like I'm not worried about Trey Morgan going to left or him playing first. That part doesn't really worry me. It's how you shake up the lineup when you move him that worries me. So let me give an example. Jordan Thompson was rolling a double play this weekend, and Jones missed the scoop.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you do move him, you are putting someone else at first. Okay. So it's not necessarily Trey that I'm worried about. It's when you have to do other things in the lineup. Okay. Now, it's not that I don't care if Beloso hits or not, but there's a reason that Jay's keeping Braden Joe Bear in the lineup. You know the reason. I know the reason is because eventually he's going to start getting a hold of a couple, and he's going to win you some baseball games. So spare me on the Beloso for just a minute. Now, if he comes in later, that is what it is. Matt, here's my hot take of the week from LSU baseball. You ready? I'm really looking forward to seeing Paul Skeens throw against an SEC opponent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's just a thing for me in general is prove it. Like for LSU in general, like prove it to me. Like
correct.
I mean, everybody wants to talk about how bad LSU's schedule has been thus far, and it has been. It's been really bad, but so has everybody else's.
By the way, you do know that I put that tweet out there, and not taking a shot at them, but like the guys over One Team One Podcast, okay, they weren't arguing. It was a really good debate, to be honest, and fair to them. It was a really good sports debate, and they were like, "Well, we didn't play this team and that team," and I'm like, and so I was like, Portland State took 2 of 3.
Well, and Jay
Johnson
said yesterday he was looking at analytics, I think, of all the SEC teams, and the non-conference winning percentage is like 82%. Like, dude, come on. Like, no, you don't, you know what I mean? I mean,
right.
that's just ridiculous. But like, I think there has been.
And Zach says Ole Miss and Vandy are the only people that played somebody's. But here's the thing: just because.
And Vandy's lost too.
Correct. And not only that, you better go look and see what Maryland's doing, because that number 18 ranking is not a good one. Oh, because Kendall says so? Well, with all due respect to Kendall, how can he go watch an inter-squad game in Baltimore, Maryland, when it's literally -2 degrees outside and snowing? You haven't seen them.
I don't want to get my blood pressure higher than it already needs to be on that issue. So
yeah, they did ask when you were coming in. They were wondering if you were going to have a black eye because Burnley being mad at you last week.
Oh no, we're not. We're there's just. I'm not going to go there.
No, don't.
I just think that now for me, like, I know that they obliterated Sanford over the weekend, but for me, it was a positive because especially on Saturday and Sunday, that was a pretty good bullpen, dude. I mean, that was like not a terrible bullpen. The guy that they brought in on
Friday,
no, on Sunday, the last guy had a red glove, I think. Shortstop.
Yeah.
He was like 94, 95 with a good breaking ball.
Well, that's what I said Monday, Matt, when we Friday. We did a show on Friday. Matt, they had a guy that came in and the Cruz home run to deep center. Matt, his first pitch was 96. I mean, it's not a lollipop being thrown up there.
No, and Jay Johnson said after Friday, because I asked him, I was like, did that – because Friday's starter was good and kind of held LSU in check for a little –
The lefty.
Oh, I was like, hey, do you think that that's as close to an SEC caliber arm that you've seen all year, minus, the Brett kid at Iowa? And he was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I'll agree with that. Like, that kid could probably pitch at a lot of schools in the SEC. And then the bullpen.
What about LSU?
No. But it was good for me to see them. But then, but here's the caveat to that too. Is you go out on Tuesday, and Colton Mercer from UNO deals lefty, just deals. Now, he was committed to Florida State according to his bio, and then for some odd reason went to Chipola Junior College in Florida, which, if you know anything about junior college baseball, Chipola is like historically a premier junior college baseball program out in Florida.
I didn't know that.
So it's always like very good. And he shoved. He was like 88, 90 and just shoved. And I was like, okay, that's the only thing where it might be me reading too much into it. But look at Butler's like soft lefty on Friday.
Right.
He K'd up Dylan Cruz twice and Gavin Dugas twice. How many pitchers in the country can say that? Now,
actually, because they made me look it up. You know who I think I told you this last week. You know who the last pitcher to strike out Dylan Cruz back-to-back was? Dolander at Tennessee.
That was going to be my guess, yeah.
Yeah, Dolander at Tennessee.
That's the thing with with pitching is that to be successful, you need to either throw way above the hitting speed or way below the hitting speed. And that dude just threw way below the hitting speed. But it also is like a trend where it's like these lefties are kind of having a little bit of success against LSU. I don't think it's going to be something that we're going to get to the middle of the year. Like Jay said the other day, he was like, we're hitting like 380 against righties and pretty much normal against, lefties. So that's just one of those things that jumped out to me. But then again, it's like, okay, well, if I'm Dylan Cruz and I haven't seen 78 on a fastball, like when your fastball and your breaking ball,
school,
when your fastball and breaking ball both have humps in it, that's not typically good. So, yeah.
Or it is really good, and you strike out the number one team 8 times. So,
bro, if I'm that dude for Butler, after I K'd up Dylan Cruz the second time, I'm quitting that day.
Retiring.
That day. See ya.
All right. So last one for you. Basketball, March Madness. I know you're a guy from North Carolina. How much do you love March Madness? Do you like it? And by the way, you're 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks, and I just wanted to wish you a happy anniversary to being 1 year off of Twitter.
Funny story again. When I think I texted you, a buddy of mine back in North Carolina reached out and was like, "Hey, I tried to look you up on Twitter and I can't find anything. It said your profile has been suspended." And I gave him the whole spiel. He goes, "Well, I've got a spare one that I never use. Why don't you just try and create that one for yourself?" And I went, "Yeah, let's try it." Dude, he gave me the login. He gave me the password, logged in, changed the handle, got approved. And I was like,
did you put it MC Trent 23?
No, I put like Matt Trent on TV's Matt Trent, something like that, like something professional or whatever. And it got accepted. And I was like, okay. Like, let's not jump to conclusions. And I started scrolling and I started following people and stuff like that. And it was accepting it. And I was like, okay, this is good. This is fine. And I changed the bio and everything, and it was good. And I'm like, that's it. I let it sit for maybe 5 minutes, and I let it sit. Nothing happened. And I go, okay, great. We're in the clear. I go to one tweet, and Elon Musk popped out with a middle finger. I was like, can't do it. So we fight on, we fight on. But to March Madness, every year it gets less and less like fun for me because there's so many people that fill out 100 brackets. It's like your bracket and your fantasy team, two things no one cares about. We don't care.
I gotta be honest. When there are people that walk up to me and want to show me their fantasy team, hey Blake, look at my fantasy, I literally cringe. Like
Yeah.
I really don't want to know.
Like sick, you had Furman over UVA. Awesome.
See, this is what everybody keeps telling me to tell you to use. They say use a VPN.
What does that even mean? I already have a VPN, a very prestigious name.
You need mental assistance.
That's true. It's true.
Basically, I mean, so we use NordVPN. It's like a protective service for your laptop. And it like reroutes your what's it called, Zach? IP address?
Well, let me tell you something. If all these people have all this freaking good information on how to get on Twitter, can someone just come over to my house and like geek squad this thing? Tell me, just do this. Just do that. I must be doing something wrong.
Don't hit me with the whoa.
Every person.
You know what I'm about to say. Don't do that. Don't do it.
Every person that has like reached out and been like, oh yeah, just like change your IP address. All right, like Zuckerberg, like come over here and show me how to do this because it's ridiculous. Blake, I can't tell you how many people that I've seen over the past year being on Twitter. They're like, oh yeah, you just got to like change your IP address. Like, oh yeah, well, I'm not really computer savvy. So someone has to, I'll pay you, dude. I'll pay you. It'll be like, it's not going to be a lot, but I don't know. It might not necessarily be in money either. I'll just pay you with hanging out with me. I'll buy you drinks. Because it's getting ridiculous. It's getting absurd. Just like buy an air-gapped computer. Like, what does that even mean?
Stop with that voice. Stop with that voice.
That's I'm in the Zach Nunez voice. Just buy like an air-gapped computer.
By the way, all right, I lied. This will be the last conversation that we have. We've gone this far. Actually, I don't even want to ask. I don't even want to.
No, go ahead. I got tons of time. But the fiance is not pissed off this weekend. I've got cold drinks, getting ready to cook dinner. Let's let it rock. Let's let this chopper say.
It really is last one because we got about 10 minutes or 5 minutes, really. Will Wade.
What about
Matt? I am just so tired. Let me tell you what I'm more tired about. You ready? Now, you're not going to agree with me on a lot of this, but just stay with me until the very end. I just don't understand the philosophy of the NCAA, okay, when it comes to rulings on certain situations. Now, is Will Wade guilty of sin? Yes.
100%.
Okay, and I'm not defending that at all. Does John Emery need to hit the books?
Yes.
Yes, he does. However, how in the world is Eric Gilbert academically eligible, which we saw today? Matt, I asked a college professor today. It is mathematically impossible for him to be academically eligible. And I hear, well, Blake, he had the episodes at LSU. Okay, I understand that. Well, then that means that you have given him a hardship to play. Also, I hear a little birdie floating around. You know, Matthew McConaughey type of birdies. That your boy and Iona might be going to Lubbock. Okay.
Not going to take the St. John's job.
Well, I was told that there was pushback because of the Louisville incident. Okay, because we got to realize St. John's is a Catholic, you got to be careful there, okay? Because the way that they're funded, it is what where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Okay. But the bottom line is, how in the world are you going to allow this man to be on his third job after leaving Louisville, and then you got to continue to have this LSU stuff going on, man? Like, I don't, and Will Wade, it makes no sense to me.
You know the answer to that. You know the answer to that.
No, I don't. No, I do.
You do. The reason that this whole charade with Will Wade has gone on because Will Wade didn't cooperate, and it was the way he didn't cooperate.
I agree with that. But now what about John Emery?
I can't speak for the John Emery thing because I will go as far to say that maybe we don't know the entirety of the details of like how many credits, how many credits is he short? How many credits did he have, or what classes did he drop before the drop period, and how many, like there's so much in terms of the academics, dude. There's so many technicalities, and there's so many just arbitrary stuff that goes on that is really like the meat and potatoes of the whole thing.
And I'm with that, Matt. You know that I'm with that, but you
don't know. But also, dude, like a little bit of that incident falls on LSU as well. Bro, like, let me tell you, I've had numerous past and like not just LSU but football players in general that have played at big time programs that have done well, that have whatever. Every single one of them, bro.
I'll hit you up on WBRZ account.
Okay. I've talked to all of them, every single one of them. Bro, do you know how hard it is to fail when you're a football player at a Power 5 school, especially
not even a Power 5, Matt, not even a Power 5. But listen, I don't mean this in a wrong way, but Mike Lucas, who is the former head coach at Southeastern, he was there before Ron Roberts. They paid student athletes this is back in 2008 now, $15 an hour to help athletes study.
Yes. Bro, when I was in college, like at the University of Richmond, which is a crazy prestigious academic institution, and the football players that I was in class with could barely read on a third grade level. And I'm not being funny. They could not read on a third grade level, but they showed up to tutoring, they showed up to study hall, they showed up to class, and they turned something in at the end of the day. And every single one of them walked across and got the same degree that I did.
Right.
Now, back to the Will Wade thing. I think it is utterly hysterical that there are people out there that think that McNeese, A, is a sleeping giant in any conference, and B, that he's going to go out there and turn this into a national power. It's laughable. Let's be totally honest here with what we're talking about. Will Wade got that type of talent there because he paid him. Will Wade wasn't the only one. Will Wade still isn't the only one. Calipari's been doing it at Kentucky for over a decade.
Well, I mean, and Calipari, we know the whole incident with Derrick Rose. I mean,
so let's not.
But again, the thing about that is that always gets me is, do you have the evidence that Bill Self and Calipari is single-handedly giving them money? Now, I mean, Matt, this is how I look at this Will Wade incident from my views. Now, I've told you this off air, but I'll just share it here. Am I the only human being that read all 17 pages of the notice of allegations? Because I feel as if that I am. The NOA was given on the bank account information stuff when he was employed at LSU. Now, the incident, the way that it's described is falls under VCU because that's when he agreed to it. But the money came out when he was the head coach at LSU. I mean, I don't understand it. Will Wade needed a fall guy. Like Chris Carter once said, and he told all those rookies, hey, man, you're going to carry some dope, you're going to carry some guns, hire you a fall man. Let him take the charges.
What a wild statement.
It is a wild statement, but but it's true. As wild as it is, it's true.
Let's just play devil's advocate, or whatever, because people are all the time like, well, LSU shouldn't have fired Will Wade. Okay, and you look back now and you look back in hindsight, I'm still not totally sold on that idea either. But let's look at the time. Let's look at the evidence at that time. In your opinion, was it enough to fire Wade for cause?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So
and not only that, he was so arrogant that he signed a revised contract that if he got one level one violation, they could fire him with cause. Remember that?
Because that is the only thing that has done Will Wade in since the Blake. I went to school in Richmond, Virginia. VCU is the University of Richmond's biggest rival. He's been doing it since the early days of when he was at VCU. Okay, like it hadn't changed, and the arrogance hasn't changed. The ego hasn't changed.
I changed to that McNeese State press conference a little.
The thing with Bill Self and all these other coaches that get popped, they understand that they got to put ego aside to get some of the best players in the country in here. They got to do whatever they have to do, but they have to be smart about it. And they can't say, well, I'm Will Wade, like I'm just going to do whatever. That's been my biggest gripe with Will Wade. I'm like you. I don't hate Will Wade. Think he's a very charismatic guy. I think he's a very entertaining guy. I think he's a halfway decent coach. The words do not match the actions. They don't.
Well, Matt, like what we saw with Aaron Rodgers this week or yesterday, was it yesterday? I don't think people understand what it's like to come on what you do and do what we do, and you got to talk about it for a long time and be rational in your takes. Bro, he went after Adam Schefter yesterday and says, "Nice try, lose my number." Okay.
Yeah, but
my point is, Aaron Rodgers is like Adam Schefter doesn't believe that Aaron Rodgers is a bad human being.
No.
And neither is Will Wade. And you know who else isn't? Ed Orgeron.
No.
Yang chins. You get what I'm saying?
It's just, the blonde deals where, bro, like we talk about it all the time in TV. Like no one person is greater than the station. No one person is greater.
False. Pat Shingleton.
Yeah, that's actually true. Pat Shingleton is way bigger than WBRZ.
Correct. False.
But you know what I'm saying? Like no one person is bigger than the entity itself. Like whomever, like Kim Mulkey, as great as she is, as great as she has done and is going to do at LSU, she is not bigger than LSU.
Agreed.
That's just the fact. Because when Kim Mulkey leaves LSU will still be a thing and continue to be a thing with all sports, not just women's basketball. So Will Wade thought that, well, I'm Will Wade. I'm the American gangster. I can do whatever I want. I can pay kids out of a joint bank account. And I'm going to tell you this too. I know that there's a narrative around that's like, oh, well, he's got, still got his relationships intact all across Louisiana. Okay. Because I know of a couple coaches in Baton Rouge that aren't going to send their kids to McNeese anytime soon. I'm just telling you, like we've got to stop creating all of this BS narrative around Will Wade, like he was some savior and he was a martyr for what he did. No, he just got caught because he was dumb and he was arrogant.
Right?
Like stop. He did what he did, and great, everybody's doing it. But he was dumb enough to think that his ego was bigger than the program.
Well, and even the thing, Matt, like, him running his cronies out there saying that he didn't do anything. But yet, why did McNeese State suspend him for the first 5 games? So, Matt, again, over a 5-year span, okay, he's been suspended from the university he's employed at 3 times.
And what a swing and miss by McNeese on that statement about why he was going to be suspended for the 5 games. We hold, it's kind of like we hold these truths to be self-evident. And
right. It was contradictory. It was contradictory.
Very seriously, like whatever. We did our due diligence. But he's suspended for 5 games. So whatever.
And here's the only thing, though. Here's the thing the only thing that I get with Will Wade, though. Okay, and the only thing that I'm going to fight for him for on this, Matt, this happened in 2018.
I did.
You know, like, and so if there's one thing, brother, think about this for just a quick minute. People who arrested and commit murder do not have to wait longer for their verdict than what Will Wade did.
But again, yes, that's very true. Yes, very true. And the statute of limitations is a huge thing, like you're talking about. But again, especially like the NCAA is one thing. Like they've got their own problems. Like they're kind of like the A&M of legislation. Serious. They take themselves really serious, but nobody really does. When you start moving into that FBI realm and you start moving into the government agency realm, and you know better than anyone, those dudes do not like to be embarrassed, and they take a middle finger and a FU. They take that personal, and they're going to make. I do think it was a little bit of a witch hunt. It had like tendencies of a witch hunt, but also like, bro, you didn't do yourself any favors by your cooperation. But now, I'm sure you saw now with like the McNeese thing, like part of his contract, he has to meet with a compliance officer, like
every week.
He has to provide recruiting documents, phone calls, texts, everything that he does. He can't like have official visits or off campus
till July 31st, right?
Like 31st or something. He can't be involved in like off campus recruiting or something for his like. He's going to have to play by the rules this first year. And if he doesn't,
and man, it might be longer. It might, who knows, but that's the bad thing. All right. It's 8:20. We got to roll Matthew Chandler Trent.
It's true. It's my middle name.
I wouldn't have known that if you wouldn't have sent me a save the date. All right. See you next week, buddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. It's Matthew Trent from